Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back. Today we're going to show you how to install, or let's say reinstall, your Mac OS via the internet. Now, this is going to be the same for all your Intel Macs that do support an internet connection for the server download, okay? There are older Macs than this one. This is a 2012 MacBook Pro. There are older Macs than this that did not have the access to internet for the internet install. So for that, you're going to have either a USB flash drive installer or your original CDs that came with your Mac. Now, even though this does have a CD in it, it does support internet install, and so that's how we're going to do it. And the simplest way to do this is actually hold down Command Option R, okay, and then turn your power on. Do not let go. Okay, I'll let you know when to let go at. Now, Ethernet connection works best because it's already there. Okay, so it says starting up internet recovery. This may take a while. As soon as you see that progress bar, let go of the keys. And that's how you're going to do it. Now, that progress bar may start anyways if you're going to do this with Wi-Fi. But it's going to say, hey, wait a second, you've got to choose a network, and then you have to sign into your Wi-Fi. I find going through the Ethernet much faster and simpler because the Ethernet port is automatically online for this, and Ethernet is going to be a lot faster for the install than what Wi-Fi is going to be, regardless of your connection speed, okay? And besides, the Wi-Fi cards are kind of limited anyways in how fast they can go in every Mac, so Ethernet kind of works the best because it's gigabit, right? And depending on how fast your internet connection is, like we're usually around 300 megabits per second on the down on average, and usually anywhere between 14 to 30 up. It kind of varies in that area, right? So we've got a pretty quick connection, so this doesn't take so long. Now, I am going to recommend too that regardless of the OS, you want to have a supported operating system on your Mac, right? Right now, the 2012, of course, its maximum operating system is Catalina. Now, if you are below Catalina as your Mac OS, that's fine, but you're not going to be doing much in the way of surfing the internet. That's the problem with below Catalina, right? You're going to have a hard time with that. Because it's just they're not supported anymore even by Chrome. Like Chrome right now only supports Mac OS 10.1.5 and newer, and 10.1.5 is Catalina. Okay, now the very last version of 10.1.5 was 10.1.5.7. And so you are going to also find that once you get Catalina in, if your computer supports Catalina in this case, or a newer Mac OS, because if you have a newer Mac, you're going to be Big Sur, you're going to be Monterey, you could even be Ventura, depending on the year of your Mac. I believe it was only 2017 and above Macs that supported Ventura natively. You with 2015 Macs, especially the MacBook, obviously, but I think they did it to all 2015s. You would only go as high as Monterey, okay, which, yeah, actually you would because it was only 2017 and newer for Ventura on anything that they did support. So anything below 2017 Max, you are going to be stuck at Monterey as as your maximum Mac OS. However, your model year of your Mac also has its limitations, in which case the 2012 here, it's maxed out at Catalina. The 2013 MacBook Pro went to Big Sur. Now, these are native installs. Keep that in mind. If you want to go non-native, so basically you're using an unsupported OS on your Mac, I would recommend using OCLP software or Open Core Legacy Patcher. And I had that on this with Ventura, and it ran just fine. It did slow down my boot time a little bit compared to Catalina, not much though. And the computer did operate rather well, but you definitely want to have 16 gigs of RAM. And even for Catalina, I'd probably say go to 16 gigs anyways. RAM is so cheap now for these old Macs. I put 16 gigs of RAM in here for like literally 30 bucks. And I did both of my 2012s the same, 16 gigs in each. Also, upgrade your drive if you haven't already. Go to an SSD drive. It's going to be a lot faster for booting, faster for loading programs, to fire them up and use them, etc. And just pure out, everything's better with an SSD in here, okay? And if you do have a MacBook with a CD-ROM in it, there are CD carriages you can get that replace your ROM, so you can put a second hard drive or SSD inside, your choice, okay? Although I recommend SSD over hard drives any day of the week. Yeah, you can certainly get your old dog Mac even running a modern operating system with Open Core Legacy Patcher. And there are a ton of videos on YouTube on how to create that USB stick, etc. So that you can do that. No big deal. I actually pre-made one, so if I want to put it back in here, it's kind of like just going in almost like a native install for me now, because I already made the USB stick with the patcher on there. And this allows me to run Ventura, and you get all the updates too. All your security updates come down, etc. The one thing I didn't like about OCLP with when it came to a new Mac OS update, it literally just reinstalled that whole newest version of the operating system. It just overwrote everything and just reinstalled it. It's like it didn't do it as an actual update, it did it as a full OS. And it's like, man, that part was a pain. But otherwise, yeah, it's fantastic. But anyway, so now we're up here to Disk Utilities area and macOS Utilities. So we want to go to Disk Utility. Okay, this is always the first thing, but before you even do a reinstall, back up your data first that you have on your computer, because you're going to lose it all. Okay, and we want to do a fresh clean install every time. You don't want to just do an overwrite kind of thing. You don't want to do an upgrade of the OS in this case. You want to do a fresh, clean install. This way everything's clean and good to go. And if you are using a brand new drive, it's likely going to get you to initialize that drive, because with Catalina and newer, we are under APFS for our formatting system. So now that we're up here, what we want to do is we want to go to the view icon area, which is over here. Hopefully you see my mouse there. So look for the word view up by your little buttons up here, and just click on view and click show all devices. Okay, now at this point, if it's a brand spanking new drive, it's not been formatted for the Mac, then it's going to make you initialize and erase. This has already been done for me because I've already had this OS on here. I do have Catalina already installed, so we're not going to go through all the main steps, but I'm going to show you what you need to do. So click on the top container where it says internal. Click on the top container when you're viewing all devices. This is how you format the drive every time. So even when you're reinstalling your OS again, right, type of thing, you're always going to want to go view all devices and click on the top container to get rid of everything. It's going to make the entire drive naked. Okay, click erase and give it a name, any name you want. It's up to you what you want to name your drive. Okay, on the format routine, it defaults at extended journaled. Okay, that's not going to work out for us, so we need to go to APFS. Okay, now extended journaled may work on older Mac OSs, but definitely not on Catalina. Okay, so you want APFS. The scheme, just leave it at guide partition map, although you do have master boot record and Apple partition map. You're going to leave it on guide partition map. That's where it needs to be. Okay, and then here we click erase, and it's going to go ahead and it's going to format the drive, and then you'll see all these little containers disappear on you, and when it's done, it'll be left with what it's left with. And then from there, we would then quit disk utility. So in this case, we're not going to actually do the format because it's going to take a while to reinstall. So I'm giving you the basics here. Okay, so quit disk utility once you're done formatting. Then click on reinstall Mac OS. Click continue. It's going to take you to the next screen, and of course Mac OS Catalina. Yes, continue. Just keep following the prompts. Now, if you have a newer Mac than this, like a 2013, you'll be on Big Sur. from the internet install. And if you're on a 2014, you could be Big Sur or you could be Monterey. It kind of depends on what Macs got supported for which OSs. Ventura, you have to have a 2017, and only specific 2017 Macs were covered for Ventura. Anything below a 2017 was definitely maxed out at Monterey. Okay, now that's with native support. Okay, so all right, so we're going to hit agree again. We're going to say yes, I agree. And then we click once only on the drive itself. Okay, and then we're going to hit install. And then we're going to let it do its thing. And regardless of what those timers say, they lie. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it doesn't take as long. It kind of varies, okay? Your screen may fall asleep after a while of doing the install. Just move your trackpad around a bit, or maybe hit a key like your space bar or something if you want to wake up your screen and find out where its progress is sitting at, okay? Now, once everything is said and done, especially with Catalina for sure, okay, the one thing I've noticed with Catalina is they removed more or less for signing in right away. Okay, so you're going to fill out your name and all that other BS on the one page, and then you're going to get moved over to the Apple ID sign-in area. Just click skip for now, okay, because if you go through that and you put in your email address, you put in your password, and you hit continue, it's going to like, oh, okay, we're doing a thing. You get a little prompt on your phone. You need to type this number in, and you do all that, well, fine, but it's going to fail, okay, on the next screen, because the next button to go forward will actually be ghosted on you, no access. I don't know why they took it out. But whether you're doing an internet install or a USB stick install, it's gonzoed. So it's kind of like, well, that's kind of dumb. Yeah, you're right. So hit the back button and just hit skip for now. Or save yourself all the trouble, like I just said, just hit skip for now. Then follow all the prompts from there. Finish your setup and everything. Once you're up to the desktop, then you go into settings. And then you go to your Apple ID up top, and then you can sign in, and then it goes through perfectly fine. I really don't understand or know why, and I don't think anybody does either, why we can't just sign in ahead of time and just continue our prompts. It just makes no sense. So, but that's what Apple's done with this. Now, once Catalina is in this case, because of it's Catalina, okay, you're going to have updates to do. Same as you would with Big Sur, with Monterey, depending on what your Intel Mac is. You're definitely going to have some OS updates, security updates that are going to go in, because the server has what it has on it here, and that's just the way it is, okay? But you want to make sure it's all up to date. Catalina does currently still surf the internet with security. The OS is still secure. The browser is still secure. In fact, even Google Chrome a while back, they used to support below 10.1.5. I think it was like something like 10.1.3 to 10.1.5 and newer. It is now specific 10.1.5 for Mac OS or newer, which means you must have Catalina, because Catalina is 10.1.5. So the minimum OS is 10.1.5 now for Chrome. Okay, now Safari is still surfing just fine, no hassles there, and Chrome is fantastic. I like Chrome, but you could even use Brave or one of the other browsers of your choice. They will all support 10.1.5 currently and newer, so you'll be okay. Once the updates get to the point where it can't update the browser anymore, well, then you're going to start getting kicked off the internet on websites, and the first critical one that you'll definitely find will start kicking you off is YouTube. I found this out myself on a computer, and it's like, but it was working 2 weeks ago. Not now, because now it's minimum of this, right? And it's like, great. So anyways, so just keep that in mind. If your computer can run Catalina at the max, put Catalina in, and you're good for a little while. And once Catalina runs out, well, you know what? Then you go to OCLP software and run Ventura on the sucker if you want. My wife has a 2010 MacBook Pro, and hers maxed out at High Sierra. So we used OCLP software and we put Monterey on hers. And it won't do Ventura for some reason. I don't know why. There's a couple guys, though, that got Ventura running on the 2010. I don't know how they did it. I have to watch their videos. But we tried and it didn't work at the time. It might work now. You never know. But it does certainly prompt you to go to Ventura. But we tried and, yeah, it was bad. So, yeah, back to Monterey. The 2012, though, it does support Ventura. It also supports Sonoma without any issues. But I definitely recommend that 16 gigabytes of RAM for sure. And for 30 bucks Canadian, that's cheap for 16 gigs of RAM for this thing. So you might as well do it. Get an SSD in there so you got some speed too. Ventura ran absolutely perfectly stable on this, by the way. Not one problem with it, other than the fact that we all have the same issue that's not yet been resolved and may not be, and that is the one program that did not run in Ventura was Stage Manager. But I mean, I don't use Stage Manager. A lot of people don't use Stage Manager, so who really cares? But it does run continuity camera absolutely flawless, even on Wi-Fi. And I was like, wow, this is sick, you know. Continuity camera on an old dog like this, yeah, that's awesome. So, but anyways, Ventura works great too because you can run all the newest software, like the newest iMovie, the newest GarageBand, the newest Logic Pro, the newest DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut, of course, all your newest browsers. There are games that, of course, will run on Ventura that don't run on Catalina or, even below Ventura, etc. There's stuff that Ventura does, the others don't. So, going with an unsupported OS also gives you a lot more lifespan out of your Mac. But there are some caveats to this, okay? Your boot time is going to be a little bit slower with Ventura on this thing. That's a definite thing. Even with 16 gigs of RAM, it's going to be a little bit slower. Getting actually set up to the desktop level is going to take about an extra 4 seconds or so. Nothing major. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Main running of programs, when they're up and running, they're running fantastic. I was actually quite impressed with all the programs that I could run that were just like, that's like, wow, that's incredible. However, the biggest price that you pay when running an unsupported OS on a Mac is simply the biggest price is actually when it comes to the heat. Intel Macs, well, any Intel processor period runs hot as it is, but you're going to be running a few degrees hotter, okay? Which means you're going to run a program like Max Fan Speed Control, and you're going to want to zip that fan anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 RPM at all times. Have it constant to keep the processor running cooler, so that when you do try something like video editing or whatever, the highest temperature I saw with 1080p coverage was actually about 87 degrees was my top temperature, which was quite good. I was impressed with that, but that helped to have the Mac pre-cooled already between 3,000 and 5,000 RPM on the fan. That made a big difference, so it didn't throttle on me when it was doing video editing. So, and gameplay was fine too. I have no real issues. I had one game though, I can't remember which one it was off the top of my brain, but it actually ran me up over 97 degrees, and I was like, okay, let's not play that game now. But anyways, so that's pretty much your thing on installing your Mac OS on an Intel Mac. So Command Option R, turn the power on, follow it from there, and format it, reinstall, and away you go. And if you have any other questions, feel free to ask comments below, and I'll do the very best I can to answer them for you. We'll just keep going with whatever's next. So thanks for watching. See you on the next one.